Good morning and welcome to Atlantic City for the richest boxing occasion ever. Iron Mike Tyson defending his undisputed world heavyweight title against the unbeaten Michael Spinks. A much anticipated encounter that has taken 2 years to make. And I can tell you this convention center is positively alive with excitement and expectation. It was virtually sold out the day the fight was announced. And behind me, 22,000 fight fans who paid a record-breaking $13 million for a ringside, an unbelievable $1,500, and they tell me that they could have charged more. And all this leads to a staggering payday for the champion of $23 million, and even for the betting underdog, Michael Spinks, at $13.5 million. With me is the former lightweight champion of the world, Jim Watt. Come in, Jim, very quickly. Did you ever think that you'd see $40 million split between two guys in one fight?
Well, we've seen some expensive fights over the years, Cooney Holmes, Hagler Leonard, and it's been an upward trend. I know I didn't ever think we'd see almost 40 million shared between two fighters, never.
You've been ringside for quite a long time now. Just what is the atmosphere like down there?
The atmosphere's tremendous. You can see that, but the celebrities have come out to see the fight. Everybody's buzzing and really expecting an exciting night's work, and we hope that's what happens.
We'll have a chance to talk more about the fight a little later on before the big guys come in, but just give us an overall feel about the fights now.
I think everybody feels Tyson's going to win. I think that people are asking not will Spinks win, it's how long will he last, what kind of fight will he put up, will it be a survival, will he try to fight Tyson, will he face him, will he run, what will he do? So we know what Mike Tyson's going to do. Everybody's asking what will Michael Spinks be doing.
Yeah, this is the imponderable, isn't it, really, because he's much heavier than he's been before, and that may not be an advantage for him.
I don't see the point in that at all. The only chance he has of victory is to keep out of trouble and pop away with a jab and don't take any chances. Extra weight does not help him in that campaign.
Well, I know that you're going for Tyson, but thank you for the moment. We'll have more time to talk just before the big boys come in. But now we can actually go and have a look at a bit of action in the ring, because at the moment it's an IBF eliminator between the #1 contender, Trevor Berbick, who of course was beaten by Mike Tyson, and the #2 contender, Carl Truth Williams. We can now get the story from Reg Guttridge at ringside as they start round 9.
So wearing the gold trunks then, Trevor Berbick, and well behind on points in the scheduled 12-rounder. Carl, nicknamed the Truth Williams, has boxed very well indeed. He's had a point taken away in the 8th round for pulling Berbick on, but Berbick, very surprisingly, did quite a bit of acting in the opening rounds and showing off and dropping his hands and all the things that just doesn't suit his style. And I'll tell you, the cornermen were a little bit heavy with the verbals when he came back to the corner. But Carl Williams now 20 wins against 2 losses, and one of those was to Larry Holmes in a 15 rounds championship fight back in '85, and he really gave a good Holmes at that time some trouble. Took 18 months out and was knocked out in the first by Mike Weaver. Well, those of you who know Mike Weaver's punching has often done that, come out and nailed people, but that's the only real blot on Williams' record. I think he's a very good prospect. #2 by the IBF. Berbick's had 3 since he lost to Mike Tyson. He got a bit too bold in that fight, didn't he? He walked in and the Iron Man nailed him. But the 3 opponents that he's beaten are really not worth mentioning, I tell you, they're quite ordinary. And at 33, this could be his last throw, Berbick, if he can't make up the points now. He won the WBC version of the Championship of the World against Pinkland Thomas in '86. So there it is, midway through the 9th. And even in an eliminator, the IBF have insisted on a 12-rounder. And Williams at 224 1/4, 16 stone and 1/4 pounds, against Berbick's 222, 15-12. And large lads, to say the least. Williams is up and comer, but he is 28 years old. He started relatively late, really. Comes out of White Plains in New York. And the Jamaican Berbick is now living in Florida. And there was some doubt there whether Williams might punch himself out, because he was using this very large-sized ring with a good left jab. There it is again and again. But now he's just tiring a bit now, and I think Berbick knows it. On the other hand, Berbick's not in that good a shape either, because he's really been soaking up that left-hand punch. Joe Cortez from New Jersey the referee. He handled Mike Tyson's fight with Larry Holmes. So there it is there, the atmosphere is it's really built up for this, and this has been a hard enough fight. So that's it coming up. So there's the great man. He's got, he reckons, about 20 pounds off. He's almost down to his fighting weight, Muhammad Ali. He really is something else, isn't he, sitting among the celebrities there. But if with this fight he could easily go to sleep. And there's dear old, the vampire himself, the man who actually beat Ali and then lost to him, Leon Spinks, going into his brother's dressing room, obviously. Certainly wouldn't be Tyson's.
All right, seconds out. In your corner, get in your corner. In your corner.
Round 10. And as I say, they've got quite a celebrity audience, apart from the great sports and the great fighters, ex-fighters, that are in the audience. And certainly this man Williams now looks well on the road to a win. If he doesn't suddenly tire and hang the chin out, and that certainly can happen in this business, because Trevor Berbick now with 34 wins, 5 losses and a draw. He's got a lace coming off there, and funny enough, I think Berbick has too. Yes, it is Berbick's one. I thought he was saying it to Williams at first. Al Braverman, one of the sort of Runyon-esque characters around in the American fight game, which is, if you look into characters, well, that's a bit of a Klondike, this game. So the timekeeper takes the time off for this, obviously. They don't run into the 3 minutes. Seems to be taking his time all right there, and the referee's getting a bit irritated with them, I think.
All right, come on, let's go. Time in, let's go.
So restore in action, they're waving play on in the 10th. And if you haven't seen Carl Williams before, he really did a destruction job on Bert Cooper, who was then with the Joe Frazier stable, who fought in England. And he's really been looking the part. I was quite impressed with him back in his amateur days. He had a good win over the top Russian at the time. And his only loss was for hitting with the inside of the glove, slapping as an amateur. He was disqualified. Can you imagine that? Midway through the 10th then. And all Carl Williams has got to do is, as they say, keep on his bike there and jabbing that left hand out. He's a very mobile 16-stoner. And he stopped 16 opponents, so he must be able to hit a bit. He certainly wasn't slapping them.
Get him out, let's go. Come on, work out. Come on, work out there, guys. Your hands are free. Your hands are free. Come on, Carl. Let's go. Your hands are free. Let's go.
The referee reminding them that their hands are free. I mean, they're not holding. Get on with it.
All right, bring out. All right, let's go. Come on. Let's go.
I'm wondering whether now that's left the scars, the defeat by Tyson on Berbick there back in November '86 in the second round, when Tyson won the first of his championships and became the youngest ever. Probably it has. It certainly wouldn't do him any good. He's now 33, and as I say, the 3 wins he's had since then have been easily forgettable, really. Yeah, there's a sign of tiredness, isn't it? He wasn't doing that early on, Berbick. He was jumping up and down a little bit to show off, and now he's paying the penalty for it a bit. So there you are now, picking the faces if we can around the ringside there, and it took them so long to sort the seats out for all these fellas, and mostly there's some baseball players, there's footballers, and then of course the usual array of celebrity stars. Jesse Jackson's here. And just panning our camera then to give you an idea of just a mere $1,500 a seat. What's that, about 840 pounds? And they're sitting behind quite a few rows of press and television, something like 1,000 media representing in this fight. And as Dickie said, there it is coming up now. As an event, it really does match up to the first of the Ali Frazier fights, and I think cover all three of those actually, but whether the fight will turn out like that, we'll find out. So out for the 11th, Carl Williams marked around the right eye. No, he hasn't quit on his stool. They've got a bit of a problem with that lace again, and the referee's saying, come on, let's go.
All right, let's go, time in.
And old Trevor was smart enough to sit on his stool while they were still doing that. 3 New Jersey judges. Referee doesn't vote here. And unless we've been looking at another fight, Carl Williams has won it fairly clearly.
All right, bring up.
But as we've often said, one punch, sometimes even a lucky punch, can make a mockery of all the boxing skills if it gets through. And it could have been that one, couldn't it? There's a peach of a right hand he tried there, but Berbick's always been durable. Tyson fight apart. Even then, he fought bravely enough, you may recall, the way he rolled over. At least he was instinctively trying to get up.
Come on, work out there. Come on, work out. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Watch the head, watch the head, watch the head.
A little bit of talk going on between the boxers there. I heard Williams mumbling something there through the gum shield.
Come on, get the arms back. Come on, let's go. Come on. All right, break out, break out.
So all he's got to do now is stay on his feet, surely, Mike, the Truth Williams, to get this verdict, and as I say, be in contention for a shot at the Championship of the World, the IBF version. And they were officially supposed to be supervising this fight, but I think they've been superseded a little bit by the New Jersey Commission, because it's Tyson and Spinks was pulled back to 12 rounds. Certainly Williams, he did so much work early on. He looks to be tiring a little bit, but he's still very much the governor when he opens up. And it's not exactly youth at 28 on his side, but hasn't been in too many wars in his time. And he's moaning a bit, Williams. That's what's happening there about Berbick boring him with a head.
Work out there, guys. Come on, give me a clean run. Come on.
He's a good boxer, isn't he? If you haven't seen Carl Williams before, I tell you, he knows a bit about this business. And remember, the IBF have got him at number 2, and they've actually got Frank Bruno at number 4. The other two, WBC, WBA, both got Bruno at number 1. Well, there you are. We're going to get back to the celebrity roll there. They're trying to see what's going on from the back of the front rows, as they say. They're sectioned off by our security there with the guardrails around there.
Bend your back and let those punches go.
You got to knock the man out, Trevor. This is the last round.
Yeah. Well, you picked that up probably from the corner there. So let's have a look at that replay then. And they're talking about Berbick's seconds or so, and you'll have to knock the man out. It's the last round, and they're absolutely right. He was well in control there, Carl Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 12th and final round. Let's have a round of applause.
So coming out then for the final round, and here in Atlantic City, it's about 10:45. So almost forcing the formal handshake then in the last round of this IBF Eliminator to fight for the championship of the world. That's always assuming promoters and managers can get together. This is a good agile 16-stoner, Williams. Well, he's got to be now because he's got tagged in the last round. Berbick's at least having a throw, and it's desperation stuff. What a turn-up this would be. Using the ropes on it there, they were both holding on and pulling away there. And again, Berbick had a little nag at the referee.
I'll be holding, guys. Get the hands out. Let's go. All right, break out, Tony. Break out. Let's go.
Oh, he put those shots together well, didn't he? That was a real good combination there.
Get the hands out. Get them out. He'll break out. Come on, work out there. Come on.
Midway through the last. And it looks as though Berbick's effort's going to fade away a bit here because Williams is willing to match him now for standing there trading punches. A little bit foolish, really, of Williams to risk it like this. Then again, he's still having more than his share of success, even in the close quarter stuff. It's been a hard old slog now towards the end of this fight. There's all lively stuff at the start, moving around and testing each other out a bit. Berbick showing off. But Williams getting into a long lead, being pulled back a little bit in the second half. Low punch.
Let's go, come on.
He's already lost a point for pulling on Williams, but that shouldn't interfere with his decision. And I have to add that if either man went down just before the bell, in New Jersey the fight would not be over, even in the last round. I disagree with that, and the count would continue, so a man could be knocked out in overtime. And they'll be glad to hear this bell because they both really punched themselves. So collecting the judges' cards right away, and I think he's rather pleased it's all over, as Eddie Aliano there with a swab stick in his mouth, just checking up on Carl Williams. It's a fairly minor injury by the look of it around the right eye. Well, he's relatively unmarked, Berbick, but he's become now what they would call in the business a bit of an opponent for the up-and-coming fighters. And that gets a little bit hard, doesn't it, for a fellow like Berbick. At least has won a world championship. He can retire with that satisfaction, and perhaps as far as he was concerned, a bit unlucky that he should run into that tank of a man, Tyson. There's a kind of resignation there in Berbick's corner, that's for sure, because Al Braverman would have been in the ring and doing a little bit of dancing around if he thought his man had won. And we're just hanging on briefly while the New Jersey Commission check the scorecard, make sure that all is in order, and then Mike Buffer, the Master of Ceremonies, will take over. You might have seen him at the Tony Simpson-Frank Tate fight at Stafford. And here comes the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this bout will now be ranked number 1 by the International Boxing Federation. Here is the official scoring. Aldavigo scores the bout 116 to 112. Henry Eugene Grant scores at 117 to 110, and Joseph Pasquale scores at 116 to 111. For the winner by unanimous decision, Carl the Truth.
Yes, a good unanimous decision, and a very good fighter indeed, I think, Carl the Truth Williams, having defeated Berbick. And with that, back to Dickie Davis.
Well, there's little doubt about that verdict. A very clear victory for Carl the Truth Williams, and of course that now puts him in line for a shot at the IBF title, which is one of the 3 belts held by Mike Tyson. When that will happen, of course, we just don't know. Well, it'll be some time before the big men come into the ring, so we'll take a short break. After that, our guest, Frank Bruno, and then Mike Tyson versus Michael Spinks. That's next.